Hi, this is Dr. Dan Altura. If you listen to some of the previous videos, you know that I got my PhD from the UCLA School of Engineering and Applied Science, and I've been involved in scientific research for the last 45 years or so. I'd like to we discussed previously the BRCA proteins with regard to Darwin's tree of life. Today we're going to discuss another protein called Titin. Now, in review again, we're going to look at Darwin's tree of life. We start off from a single ancestor cell. We go through this complicated tree, and we get to all the species that are around today, as many as 10 million species, including human beings, at the tips of these branches. Darwin basically said that everything is by chance, everything is random. Life is totally random. All the species were created by random processes. These involve mutations and that they're progressed by little steps over a long period of time. We start off with a single cell. We go to the human being because we're going to simplify this. Basically, I learned a long time ago when I was a freshman that if you have a complicated problem, sometimes you can get a hint as to how this problem works out by simplifying it and then solving the simpler problem. So what we're going to do, we're not going to get involved with what went on here in the tree, all the fossils and all the different steps, etc. We're just going to start with a single cell and go to the human being, and forget about all the other species, etc. And as far as the single cell is concerned, we're going to pick. Darwin had in mind a very simple cell, something that the original ancestor cell, very simple, and then this led through evolution, led through all the different complicated systems, species we have today. So the simplest cell you can come up with is something that was already started back in the 1960s by NASA. It's basically called the minimum genome project. The genome is the total content of all the DNA in a species. And what they did is they tried to take the simplest bacteria and then take this bacteria and then knock out additional genes, protein coding genes, so you would get to a minimum bacteria where the bacteria would no longer function. So what they did is they took this very, very tiny bacteria, much smaller than E. coli, called N. genitalium, which is an actual infectious bacteria, causes infections in human beings. They started off with 482 coding genes for proteins, and then they knocked out 100 different of these genes, and they came up with a number of 382 proteins and coding genes, and if you went below that, this cell stopped to function. So this is the simplest thing we're going to use, and it applies. Darwin would have had that in mind. Now, as far as the human being, we're going to simplify that also. We're going to use, instead of the whole human being, we're going to reduce this down. First of all, a human being is made out of 37 trillion cells. Such a large number, I can't even fathom it. So we're going to deal with an individual cell. Let's say a single muscle cell. But the individual cell is also too complicated because we're talking about each cell having 20,000 unique proteins, which have different jobs. So that's a very complicated system. So we're just going to look at tonight at one protein only. This is what we call Titin. One thing about proteins, a protein is made up of a long string of amino acids strung together. When this protein is synthesized by the ribosome, and when it comes out as a string, it's totally ineffectual. It can't do its job. It has to be folded into a very, very complex, three-dimensional geometric shape to be able to work with substrates and speeding up chemical reactions, and also to work with other proteins. It's very specific to geometry. And here, I mentioned this before, this is an immobilizer type situation. An immobilizer occurs where you have a key that has both a geometric component and it has a very small electronic integrated circuit in there, which interacts with another circuit inside the steering column. So you have to have both the geometry of the key and the electronic code for the engine to start. So proteins work the same way. They have an electronic component, van der Waals forces, hydrogen bonding, etc., and they also have a geometric component. Both these are very, very important. It's what we call the immobilizer. Now, as far as the protein itself is concerned, Titin is the largest protein in the human body. It's a muscle protein. Titin, it gives you the muscular spring that you have in your skeletal muscles. That's what Titin is all about, and there's a significant amount of Titin protein in the average human body. Now, this is a very, very large protein, the largest in the whole human body, that's made up of 34,000, a string of 34,000 amino acids. You can imagine how long that is. A necklace, 34,000 pearls. The average protein is only 300 to 400 amino acids wide. So this large protein, we're going to go back now to the single cell. I call this a Cinderella effect. You know, Cinderella, the story where the prince had this glass slipper, and Cinderella left or whatever, and he wanted to find who this person was. So he had all these women tried on, including her stepsisters, but it would only fit her because she was very dainty. This is called the Cinderella effect. This large protein, which is 1 micrometer in size, is actually larger than the single cell. So we're going to say that this large protein did not exist in the original single cell, because first of all, single cells don't have muscles. They have other ways of propagating, but they don't have muscles. They have very simple proteins, and again, this large protein would not even fit into this M genitalium single cell. So we're going to say that this single cell doesn't have it, but the human being, the human cell, does have it. Now, this protein is totally unique. There are no other proteins exactly like this protein in the whole human body. It has a Goldilocks effect. What do we mean here? Even though we have 34,000 amino acids, every amino acid has to be in the exact correct place. If one amino acid is missing, or if there's one amino acid that is added on in the wrong place, this causes mutations. And this causes what's called muscle diseases, myopathy. And with regard to, they've already discovered with regard to Titin, if you have even a single point mutation in Titin, because you need to just have the exact, it has to be just right, this protein. You can't have any other combinations. There's just only one combination that's correct. This will cause mutations, and it's going to cause myopathy, and it can cause heart muscle problems, which can be fatal. And these are degenerative. They start as a young child and they progress, and these people die at a young age. It can cause respiratory failure, the same with the respiratory muscles underneath the lungs, and it can cause various kinds of skeletal muscle problems, muscular dystrophy. So even if one amino acid is not there, or another amino acid is added on, this thing is therefore not right, and it will cause mutations which will cause human muscular disease. Now, again, we've gone through this before. How many combinations do we have for this large protein? 34,000 amino acids. Well, we discussed a necklace with 5 types of pearls, 4 positions. The number of combinations is 5 types. 4 positions, you multiply 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, you get 625. The general formula for the number of combinations is the number of types, like in this case 5 types of pearls, times to the power of the number of positions. There's 4 positions here, but there's 5 types of pearls, so it's 5 to the 4th power. That's the general formula is T to the P power. T is types and P is the positions. For amino acids, how many types are there? For life, there are 20 amino acids which combine together to form all these proteins, whether it's plant, animal, or single cell. So if we look at Titin, let's use this formula. How many combinations are there? We have 20 amino acids, that's the number of types, and the number, the string, the length, the number of positions, believe it or not, it's 34,000. So we have 20 to the 34,000th power. This is such a large number, it's basically infinite. If I was going to just pronounce all the zeros here, a half a second for each zero, it would take me more than almost 6 hours to pronounce all the zeros. How does this compare to things that we're more familiar with than this large number? For Powerball, we have about 10 to the 9th different combinations, very tiny compared to 34,000. So let's take a look at all the atoms in the universe. The universe consists of trillions and trillions of galaxies, each galaxy having hundreds of millions of stars, and the universe is many, many billions light years wide. If you take all the atoms in the universe, they've estimated that the total number of atoms is only 10 to the 80. Compare this to this. There's no comparison. To get that right combination, because you only have one combination that's just right here, it would take a lot more effort and a lot more time than it would take to find just one atom in the whole universe. If you flew around at the speed of light around the whole universe to find one particular atom, this would be a kid's play. It would be very, very simple compared to the combinations for Titin. I'm going to correct this over here. I wiped it out. Where you have 34,000 zeros. So we see that the amount of time, based on random processes here, by chance, that Darwin predicted for the tree of life to go from a single cell which doesn't have Titin, we know that doesn't even fit in there, to the human being which has Titin, it would take trillions times trillions times trillions of years. Obviously, that's an impossibility because both the Earth and the universe aren't that old. And one more thing, no matter what path you take here, from the single cell which doesn't have Titin to the human being which has Titin, doesn't matter which path you take because the odds are all the same. Whether I showed previously, whether you use Powerball to get those numbers, or you use a PC for those random numbers, or you use a roulette wheel, whatever way you take, whatever fossils, whatever, when you go from a single cell to a human being, the odds are infinitesimally small to get to that right one combination to prevent these mutations. And quickly, my perspective, after 45 years of worth of research, I can tell you, perspective is very important in solving problems. You need to have the right perspective here to be able to get an answer. This is not a theoretical problem. This is a practical, medical problem. You don't want these people to suffer here. Please think about that. Thank you very much.